Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another daily devotion. I'm recording this devotion for Friday, September 9th of 2022. Today we're going to finish the 27th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. We won't quite finish Matthew yet. That will have to wait until I get back from vacation on the 19th. So the 19th and the 20th, on the 20th, we should be finishing Matthew's Gospel, chapter 28. Remember, next week I won't have any devotions, but feel free to go back and look at some old ones. We have a playlist of all the old, the other books we've looked at. I'm not 100% sure what book we're going to jump into next. I'm still mulling that in my brain here. I will be thinking about that as I drive around a bit. Hopefully, going to be seeing my mother and some family up in South Dakota, and then driving across to Wisconsin to pursue my Swiss roots over there in New Glarus and around that part of the country. But anyway, I digress. Let's finish chapter 27 in Matthew for today, shall we? All right, today we're talking about the burial of Jesus and the guard at the tomb. And we want to remember that the guards at the tomb are unique to Matthew, at least in the canonical books. The Gospel of Peter also has guards at the tomb. And we'll talk about that a little bit more for the devotion for the 19th. So we won't get into that too much today. I don't think I will anyway. We'll see as we work our way through this. But let's look at verses 57 to 66 in chapter 27 of Matthew. When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who also was himself a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. So Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his new tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. He then rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there sitting opposite the tomb. The next day, that is after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember that the impostor said while he was still alive, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' Therefore, command the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may go and steal him away and tell the people he has been raised from the dead. And the last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard of soldiers. Go, make it as secure as you can." So they went with the guard and made the tomb secure by sealing the stone. Okay, first of all, here we have Jesus is expired on the cross, and Joseph comes to get him. Joseph from Arimathea. In John's Gospel, we also have Nicodemus, one of the members of the Sanhedrin, is with him and who had gone to see him at night. But here in Matthew, we only have Joseph, and we don't have any mention of the spices and whatnot. That we had like 100 pounds or something. It actually works out to an American weight, I think like 70 pounds approximately, of spices that they anointed Jesus' body with. Here they seem to, he doesn't anoint the body in Matthew's telling. He just wraps him up in the tomb or in the cloths and the shroud and puts him into the tomb. Now, interestingly enough, is this the Shroud of Turin? I don't know. I'm kind of agnostic on that one. I'd love to think that it is, and the face cloth. There seems to be some evidence to that. That's another that I'll leave you to go, research that one on your own. Look up the Shroud of Turin, Turin, I believe, if I can remember my spelling. It is an interesting thing to study. A few years back, they pretty much felt they had disproven it, but then they realized that some of the carbon dating was contaminated, and I won't get into all that. But go look it out. It's fascinating. In fact, I might go read or listen a little more about it myself. But here we have them laid in this new tomb. Now, do we know for certain where the tomb is? For many years, the Catholic Church, of course, advocates that's where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is at, that the tomb is there, and that you can go into what is left of the tomb. They've piled so much on top of it, and the same with Golgotha, where the cross was. They believe is right above that, but it's within the city walls, and that doesn't seem right at all. I think more likely, if one of the two locations that are at the forefront of contesting to be the site of Jesus' tomb, I think it's more likely the Garden Tomb or somewhere in the area of the Garden Tomb, because there's a hillside there nearby that they believed was Golgotha as well. Anyway, I've been to both places. You certainly get more of the sense of the whole scenario with the tomb and the cross at the Garden Tomb location. I would recommend going to both places if you're in Israel, in Jerusalem, but the Garden Tomb to me was much more impactful. Here, though, they put the guard at the tomb, and that's strictly because they are afraid that Jesus is going to, that rather the disciples are going to say that Jesus rose from the dead, even though they'd gone and stole him. This was something that was definitely mentioned early on, and this is something that Muslims still profess, is that Jesus didn't die, he just was beaten badly, and he kind of revived spontaneously and walked out of the tomb. Either that or that the disciples came and stole away the body. But the Muslims would say that he didn't die, he was still alive. Others said that he died, but they took the body and claimed that he had risen from the dead, that the tomb was empty. So this seems to be here as kind of a way to squelch that whole argument. Listen, he couldn't have possibly been done because if anything, Romans were really good at guarding. They knew how to guard stuff. So if they were guarding it, he didn't get out unnoticed. So the whole thing is we have to, this is a linchpin of our faith. This whole thing with the fact that Jesus was really and truly dead, and that he really and truly rose again, is really a linchpin of the faith, in my opinion. Now, my mentor Jesse was more of a belief in a spiritual resurrection. I believe in a bodily resurrection. To me, that is a kind of a must-have, if we want to put it that way, to my faith in Christ, is that he really and truly died, that he, as it says in the Apostles' Creed, he descended into hell, and on the third day he rose again. There's a Nicene Creed. I forget which one now. We're a non-creedal church. You got to remember that. Not anti-creedal, but non-creedal. But at any rate, the creed says he descended into hell and he rose again on the third day. Without that, I don't see how we can do what we do. But that's what I've got for you today, I think. I'm going to leave it off at that. And we'll pick up in chapter 28, which is the resurrection. And that's where we're going to go from there and talk more about that. And talk a little bit more about that guard at the tomb, those guards at the tomb, and the Gospel of Peter as well. All right. With that, I'll let you go. Have a blessed day. And please, 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 as I always say, be a blessing to someone today. Take care. Bye-bye.